Hello everybody, I'm Eddie V. Welcome to the channel. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click the notification bell. And today, welcome to my Ed's Finance part of the YouTube channel that I haven't done in a while. And basically, what I'm going to explain today is if this new proposed law or rule will come out, it's going to destroy the American economy like it's right now destroying the California economy with the AB5 law. And I'm going to go into detail and explaining how this actually is going to work. First, guys, you got to understand that I'm a truck driver, so I'm going to go based off as a truck driver, but this applies to all independent contractors and owner-operators, which are considered as independent contractors as well. So basically, guys, let me explain briefly what it is. Right now, the good part is this is not a law yet or a rule yet. It's a proposed lawmaking and proposed rulemaking. And right now, it's in the comment section for people to, they're testing it as to oppose or not to oppose for it, whether they want it or not want this rule. So basically, guys, I'm going to link that down below about where you can comment. So there's going to be a link where you can click on the link and it'll take you to the page where it shows you the proposed rulemaking from the federal website. And also you can click a button on that website to either anonymously or put out your name there and comment if you're for the rule and against the rule. And I hope you guys are against this law or rulemaking and about what I am going to explain. So basically, guys, this new rulemaking is supposed to go towards gig workers, which is anybody that works for Lyft, Uber, or DoorDash, or anybody of the equivalent that does these gig workers, as they say. But because of this, it's going to affect all independent contractors and all owner-operators. Basically, guys, what this new rule is they're going to reclassify what an independent contractor should be classified as and what an employee should be classified as a worker in a company. Currently, guys, we have two things you can do when you go work for a company. It depends on your company, and they shouldn't force you to sign any paperwork. It's supposed to be free of choice. So basically, you either want a W-2 or a 1099. Most companies do a W-2, but more smaller companies that want to operate at the lowest possible operating costs, they often offer only a 1099 form. And it's not forcement to do that. It's just the way the companies right now work, that you can do a 1099 and you're considered independent contractor by tax status, and you pay your own taxes. And yes, you can even write up your own stuff depending on what the company supplies you with and what you have to get on your own. This also applies to owner-operators that are leased on to a company. I'm going to explain in a minute how this affects owner-operators that are leased onto a company. So basically, I'm going to first tell you my side of the story. I'm a truck driver and I work on a 1099. I've been working on a 1099 for the past almost 3 years as a truck driver. And for me, that's beneficial. I didn't pay that much taxes over the course of 3 years as much as some individuals, because for the most part, I'm able to write up my own expenses, and you get a per diem of food per diem per day in the year. And when I started, it was $50 a day, and I believe now it's $69 a day. My accountant does all that tax work, so I don't really keep up with it, but it's probably $69 a day per diem for food that you can deduct. And there's other deductions you could use. Deduct your medical expenses, you can deduct your ATM fees, your tools, your supplies, depending what industry you are. It just varies. Like trucking, I can deduct into your truck supplies. I can deduct the CB radio that I bought. I can deduct paper logbook expenses. I can deduct the tablet I bought to use the company's ELD. I can deduct like Bluetooth devices. You get the point. If you're like a contractor that's signed a 1099 under a building company, you can deduct your tools, your work clothes. There's many variants of what you can deduct as long as it's legal under law. Now, the per diem is only if you travel and don't come back home. That's when the day per diem is allowed. Now, guys, here it comes to me explaining why this is bad for independent contractors that work under a 1099 but don't own any of their stuff or equipment or trucks and trailers, and for owner-operators that buy their own equipment but lease onto a company. So it could be the same thing as building, but you're leased onto a building company, or if you're an owner-operator as a truck driver and you're leased onto a company getting loads. Let me explain this. So, under the current classification that we really don't follow because they don't want to enforce it, but there's some other technicality to consider be as an owner-operator, you have to either rent or own your own equipment, have a business name. Depending on the industry, you might not have to have insurance because usually it's covered by the person that hired you to be contracted out, but most likely you still need insurance. And also what you do need is to find your own work. Here's the problem. Like when I work under a 1099, I am more free than a traditional employee, but I can still get fired, and I can still get told what to do, even though I have no forced dispatch. I love my company, but I still get told what to do, and someone finds a load for me. And I'm going to show you how this ties into being an owner-operator. So basically, guys, to be classified as independent contractor, owner-operator, you have to be 100% on your own. You got to own or rent your own equipment and find your own work under what the classification will be or already is. I don't really know. Once I find out about this rulemaking, I'll explain in detail what's going to be happening. I'll let you know what's going to be happening in my career as well. Now, this is what the AB5 law did in California. So right now, there's about 70,000 owner-operators out of business and probably tons of contractors as well. Because to classify as an owner-operator or independent contractor, what I just described, what classifies you as an owner-operator or independent contractor, that is what is going on in California right now. So if you're a truck driver, because I'm talking about truck driver based on my channel, you basically have to go on your own. You have to get your own authority, you have to get your own truck and trailer, and you got to find your own loads. So basically, if this law goes into effect, people who work in a 1099, we do not know, don't get into too much panic, even though I'm already panicking, we do not know what they're going to classify you as an independent contractor. Either you absolutely have to rent or own your own equipment, or as long as it's your free choice and you're considered as an independent contractor under the company you're leased on or working at, then you're fine. But if it turns out to be exactly like the AB5 law, what's going to happen, you can't work on a 1099, and you also, as an owner-operator on the trucking company, you cannot be leased onto a company getting loads, because that will be considered as a lease operator. Now, let me tell you guys quickly why everyone's saying this is the end to lease operators. I do not count being an owner-operator leased onto a company as a lease operator, because a lease operator is actually a totally different subject, where they actually lease a truck from a company and they don't pay for expenses, but they basically pay the lease agreement on the truck that they pay monthly, and they give like 50% of the load. So basically, that's what a lease operator is. That's why I don't count it as being as the owner-operator side. Owner-operator side, I count is either being completely 100% on your own, or having your own truck at least and trailer and being leased on to a company that dispatches you and you get loads from. So if this law comes out exactly as AB5 law, there's not going to be a chance for you to lease onto a company. You're not going to be able to work on a 1099 of your own free choice as an independent contractor. And here's the consequences going to happen. But first, I'm going to go into detail about why this law first came into place. So sorry, I misworded that. It's not into place yet. They're just testing it out there right now in the comments. So basically, what is happening is what happened is in California is all these gig workers on Uber complained that they have to pay taxes like an independent contractor. I don't know what they were thinking when they signed up, and Uber and everything gave them a 1099. And they're like, well, wait a minute, we're turning this career and we're getting loads from, or we're getting dispatched by Uber and DoorDash, and being told where to go and how to do the job like employees. It's not fair. So because of them, the majority of the independent contractors and owner-operators will be suffering which already suffer in California and may suffer in the whole United States. So basically, because people complain that they had to pay taxes and they're being treated like employees according to them, this law is trying to come out nationwide. It started in California. A lot of us people did not believe it'll come out into the other states for the next probably 3 to 10 years, because we know a lot of states are not as dumb as California. But for one person I heard, what starts in California often spreads around the whole United States. So that's what sucks about California. Now, what is this going to do to our economy in the United States, which is kind of happening in California? It's collapsing. So let me tell you this. In the whole United 50 states, about 51% of the whole workforce is on a 1099 and basically considered independent contractors. Now, probably only 80% of those, or actually 20% of those 50% are actually 100% on their own. I would say 80% of all the independent contractors of the 51% of the workforce is actually on a 1099 and do not own their own equipment and simply have a 1099 working on their company because they want to make more money, write up their own write-offs on taxes, and actually pay their taxes on their own and have a better future for their family and next generation, and basically have their own schedule. That's basically 1090. If you're working on 1099, you do have a more bigger freedom of schedule than being an hourly employee. Now, how is this going to disrupt their economy? Well, let's just say this. Imagine if we have half the workforce on being independent contractors, 80% of that are going to be without a job. And how is it going to be without a job? So remember, I'm tying in truckers, I'm tying in plumbers, I'm tying in building contractors, I'm tying in all those. How is this going to happen? Well, if you're going to be forced to work, or actually, if you're going to be forced to quit your job and go on your own, number one thing, though, I'm going to do an example is with truck drivers. If you've been leased onto a company and you've been paying insurance on your own, not on your own, through the company, which is about $300 to $500 by being leased onto a carrier. Once you go on your own, since even though you did, let's say, trucking for 20 years, of course, it could be cheaper for somebody to get insurance and have their own authority than versus somebody who did trucking for 3 years, but it's still going to be much higher. So basically, for people that are going to go on their own, because they have to get their own authority and have and rent their own equipment or truck and trailer, or own their own equipment or truck and trailer, to get insurance for the first time as a truck driver on your own authority, I know one person been quoted $35,000 for 1 year, and often you have to pay $5,000 up front, and you still got to pay monthly on top of that. So with the messed up freight and rate system, that's going to be hard to afford. And since a lot of these truck drivers only own their truck, not their trailer, they're going to have to buy their own trailer. And often people who want to get into the owner-operator game now have to worry about 3 things instead of 1 on payments. It's going to be your truck, it's going to be your trailer, and it's going to be your insurance. And not to forget, 4th that we really don't consider is fuel cost. So with this being said, guys, there's going to be lots of people homeless, lots of shortage on truckers. Supply chain is going to be destroyed. There's going to be probably, I want to say, shortage of foods. There's going to be a lot of famine, a lot of hungry people around. America might become a third world country because of that, which I'm hoping is not going to pass this law. But basically, by trying to get Uber drivers or gig workers better benefits that they're complaining that they don't have, they're going to destroy the whole economy. That's basically my theory. But I'm not against having better benefits if you're an independent contractor, but the way they're doing it might not be beneficial. And by the way, the stocks of the gig worker stocks companies actually went down when they found out about this rule proposal. So that's what we're going to see happening. And I can give you an example of trucking is that until they find a legal loophole, and by the way, legal loopholes I am all for. As long as it's legal, it's not really a loophole, it's actually legal, so you can get a fine for it. They just call it loopholes because just simply somebody found a better way to do business legally. That's the way I consider it. But illegal loopholes is what you're not supposed to do, but legal loopholes you could do. But basically, I don't know how they did it. One person on YouTube commented that they claim that they know a legal loophole around the AB5. So until independent contractors can find a way to find a legal loophole around this new proposed rulemaking or law, it'll be a couple months with the job force in America basically being without a job. They're crashing down. So I want to say that basically if you're a truck driver, I'm giving an example because I'm a truck being based off as a truck driver, giving an example on the trucking industry. Basically what's going to happen, there's a couple things might happen to my job. Basically I will get fired because my boss won't be able to pay, I think, what is it, $500 a week to give me benefits as a company driver. And that's going to be a lot of small companies. They're just going to become a one-man team. They're going to sell off their equipment. So actually there's going to be a lot of trucks and trailers and equipment and whatever industry you are at for sale because of that. And also whoever does get hired on and classified as an employee, if that does happen, let's just say if you are making as an independent contractor $1 a mile, or as an owner operator you're getting paid, let's say $5 a mile for a load, well, guess what? If you're considered an employee and you're not going to go on your own and they're going to pay you, you're going to get paid like 55 to 75 cents a mile, because guess what? Companies will struggle to pay you even then because they have to pay you benefits, give or offer you benefits. And the only way you'll get paid more is if you exempt from the W-2 and basically pay the taxes on your own return, but it still doesn't matter because you still won't get paid a lot because that's just going to be the new law. So hopefully they don't do that, because basically the trucking industry is going to be made up of nothing but mega carriers and a few individuals that went 100% on their own. So if this proposed rulemaking does come out, guys, owner-operators and independent contractors around the United States, whatever you do, if you went 100% on your own, I give you all credit, because if you went 100% on your own back 20 years ago or 5 years ago, you basically are way ahead of the game than some of us that will be forced into it and struggling and may go broke or go out of the business completely. So you guys are lucky, because if this does happen, this could potentially, for truck drivers, raise the rates. But at the same time, we're going to have a huge shortage, so that'll be kind of hard to figure out. And if mega carriers pick it up, it's just going to go back down to square one of cheap rates. But that's just my opinion, guys. Now, down below, I'm going to include these links. I'm going to include the link of where you can read the article, but they don't want to yet release what the classification rule is going to be. But there's a federal website that I'm going to give you. It's like federal.gov or something, that's going to show you a basic description of the law or rulemaking, and that you can comment for or against it, and hopefully you guys comment against it. And two is that I'm going to list a couple news videos like NBC or whatever. I just found a few news videos that I'm going to also show you guys about it, that I'm not lying about this. And I'm also going to link 2 YouTube channels that I found this article on to back up my proof. Now, I don't really listen to the news because I'm just not into all that drama. But whether you think news is fake news or real news, it's a good thing just to take care and actually listen to it. Now, another thing, what I do suggest for all, not only trucking owner-operators, but also independent contractors, is save your money, get your stuff in order, get out of debt as much as you can, and get ready for whatever is coming if it does come. And if you're thinking about being an owner-operator, do not become an owner-operator. Just save your money until you know exactly what is going on, what's going to be happening with the system. So with that being said, guys, I'm Eddie V, and I'm hoping there's a better future ahead of us, and I'll see you next time. Not canceled. Guys, I'm Eddie V. 2004 You're live. This particular package driving attempt on the 6 Series.